Hello everyone, I'm Amanda. If you haven't painted with me before, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is a video especially for anyone starting out on an art journey. So you can be a complete beginner, and I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to mix some colours, very simple, and we're just going to have fun. I paint for self-care and I help others to do the same. It's helped me through very difficult times, and I just think that it's just such an amazing thing to do, to calm your mind, to make you feel more confident in yourself and to have fun, and that's what it's all about. Now, I run the group Amanda's Beginners Art Community, and that's a very safe and supportive community on Facebook. So please come and join us. And I specialise in helping beginners and people who just want to learn more skills. So come with us on this journey. I'm going to change the camera in a minute and we're going to get going. So today we're going to need 5 colours, but I've got 4 here for the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix some primary colours. Now the primary colours are red, yellow and blue. And when you're starting out with acrylics, that's really all you need. I have a lot of other colours in tubes, and I find that because of my brain disorder, I don't always have enough time because I have to rest a lot to mix colours and paint as well. But if you are just starting out, it is a good way to keep the costs down if you have a few colours. So I've got cadmium red medium here. This is Liquitex Basics, in fact they all are. This one is cadmium yellow deep. Now you don't need that one. They're all on Amazon, or you can get them in Hobbycraft in the UK. I'm sure you can get them other places around the world. And that is primary yellow, and we've got some white. We will be using black, but not quite yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix us an orange. So I'm going to take a bit of red. Now this first orange is quite light. What I suggest as well, you can use an old rag, you can have a bowl of water. I've actually got some wipes. I use baby wipes, and what I do is I mix with a palette knife. Now you don't have to do that. I do love palette knives, but you don't have to when you're starting out. I would suggest you just have a stick or an old spoon or fork or knife or whatever, or even an old, I don't know, anything that's just like a stick which you can mix. That's what I would suggest. I use a palette knife, so you'll see me using that. And just wipe off whatever you're using to mix. The first colour we're going to mix is going to be a yellow. It's kind of a yellow orange. Now if you have cadmium yellow deep, this is pretty much the colour we need, and this is just a darkish yellow. So if you have that, you don't really need to mix a colour. But if you don't, then what we can do is we'll grab, if you've got your yellow, whatever yellow that is, just grab some yellow. Let's put it on. This is lemon yellow. I'm just going to show you with a lighter yellow, and we're going to, so that's with our lighter yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a tiny bit of red, only a very small. I've got a bit of red over here. It's going to add a little bit. Now, yellow is quite a weak colour, so you don't want a lot of, literally a dot. I've got a tiny bit, can you see, on my palette knife. So what we're going to do is just put that in. It's still probably going to be too dark. Yeah, it's still too dark. So what we'll do, it's a nice colour though, is just add more yellow. Got my wipes here. I want to wipe every time you use whatever you're using to mix your colours, just wipe it off. And I'm going to go into some more yellow. Probably going to need some more. Let's put some more. What we'll do, I'm not going to add any white to this because it'll go peachy and you don't want that. I'm just going to put it from my tube on here. As I said, if you've got this, which is cadmium yellow deep hue, I'll put some more actually on here. We can use that because that is just a brilliant colour for what we want today. but I'm just showing you that we can mix it. So, or something similar to it. So I've got that yellow. Oh, that's lovely. Actually, that's even better than the other colour. That's a little bit darker, but this is the good colour, so we can use that colour. So I've put a tiny minuscule dot of red into that yellow, whichever yellow you have, and you get this almost like a mustardy colour. You can see that one's a bit more vibrant, but that one's the one I think we'll go for. So that's brilliant. And what we need to do now is we want to mix one more colour. So I'm going to, shall I use some of that? I might use some of this and see what happens. Use a bit of this. This is Cadmium Yellow Deep. And I'm just going to add some red. This time a little bit more red. Now this is quite deep anyway, so let's just see. I won't have too much. I've got that much red. So it's really trial and error. You just want to sort of see how it goes. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? It's probably a little bit. I'm just going to go into that yellow and add a bit more. Oh, lovely. That's lovely. That's the colour we want. So that was Cadmium Yellow Deep, if you have it. If you've just got a normal yellow, just add a bit more red, but at a time, you know, a little bit at a time, because you don't want too much or it'll just go red. These are the colours we need. Don't ignore that one because we've used that to mix. We've got this one, which is our darker orange. It's beautiful. It's like a secondary orange. This one is lovely. It's like a mustardy colour, isn't it? It's just fabulous. So this one we're going to use. I've got a light yellow here. Any yellow's fine. And I've got a little bit of white. These are disposable palettes, but you can use a tray, you know, like those cardboard plates. That's really good to mix as well. Anything that's easy. You don't need to go out and get specialist equipment. When you're starting out, I would say just go with it. Just use what you have. We're now going to use our first colour. Before we do that, what I will do, if you have some black paint, you can do this with an acrylic pen or even a pencil. It doesn't matter what it is. We just need, I want to put out where our land will be, because we're going to do a beautiful sunset today with some land, and then we'll do a silhouette of a horse. Now it isn't as hard as it sounds, and I'm going to talk you through every step. So what we're going to do is we're literally going to do our land. So I'm going to just put it in, and roughly like that, and that's all we're going to do. And then maybe we could do maybe a line, and we don't have, that means we don't have to do it, just to about there, and we don't have to paint that bit. Let's leave that. We could paint that bit actually, but it's just really to give us a rough idea where the tree is. So there's going to be a tree here. This is going to be our black land, and we're going to have a beautiful sky. What I'm going to do is literally on this work surface here, I'm going to just spray some water. Now all that does, you can actually put it under a tap as well, or you can have a little bowl of water and just put it in. And all that does is it just softens the brush, so that when you put it on, let's move that now. When you put it on, it just makes it easier to move the paint. And we're going to go into our light. This is our top colour here. This colour, ignore that one, that was the Cadmium Deep. This is the colour we mixed, and that's the other colour we're going to use. And I've got them off to a side because I haven't got a lot of room here. This is painting in the real sense. So I'm going to get some of that paint, and I'm just literally going to paint it. So pick up more water, or I'm just going to use a bit of fluid retarder here. Now fluid retarder is just, it's just another way of making your paint wet. I use it because it's just quite, it's just easy for me to use rather than getting water and stuff like that. And I'm trying to save water. But what I would say is, obviously when you're starting out, just use water. And what it does is it just helps that, it just really helps the paint move because it's so warm here, it's drying up very quick. Acrylic paint dries really quickly, so you need to keep it quite moist, your brush moist, your surface you can keep moist. And we're going to go down to probably, and see that line where I drew the tree still there, and that's good because we can put that in later and it won't matter. That line won't matter because that's where the tree is. So I'm going to go down to about there. Now you can go in with a second coat. Now this is just like painting a wall, literally going backwards and forwards. Backwards, well actually I'm just going, because I've got a small surface. That's the other thing I'd say to you, I forgot to mention, is that when you, so there we go, that's all we've done. So when you start out, I would say that you don't use a canvas. I'm using a canvas. This is an 8x8 inch canvas, 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. The reason I'm using that is it's easy for me to do this. And if I use paper, it moves around too much and I want to lift it up and show you. But what I'd suggest is you use some multimedia paper. Now, this is A4. They might come in different sizes. I've got A4. And what I have is this paper, to show you a piece. It's quite thick. It's quite thick as card. Now this paper will hold paint and a bit of water, not too much water. When we're using acrylics, we use a bit of water. And I sometimes fold it up so that I don't have it so big, so it can be portrait or it can be landscape. That's really good. And they're reasonably priced. I get mine from Amazon, but you can get it pretty much from wherever, I think, art shops, or search in, you know, bargain shops and see if they've got any there. So what we're going to do now is I'm not even going to wipe this brush, is I'm going to go into this dark colour. I might put a little bit more liquid, water or fluid retarder, whichever. And I'm just going to go into that lovely orange, this one, yeah? And we're going to go down the bottom here. And we're just going to literally go in, put that on its edge. See what I mean? You can use a decorating brush. You don't need equipment. And I forgot to mention the paper, but you can just use paper. You do not need a canvas. I just do it because it's easier and I buy them in bulk. I've got loads of them. And then the ones, you know, some of them I can paint over as well. In black, you just paint over it and reuse it. I don't really like throwing anything away, so you know that it just works better for me. We can put more than one layer on that, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. The other thing we can do is, if we have, actually let's use a wipe. You can do, actually can do this with your fingers as well, is just blend it, and if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, just get a wipe and blend it gently. Blend it. There you go. You can do this with a brush. And you can also, if you want to, put a little bit more of the light colour on. We can just change this and put another coat on. It doesn't matter. And just mingle it a little bit. So I've just got the brush. There's hardly any paint on this decorating brush that we've been using. Just literally brush it over. And it's like that. And it's a lovely, lovely sky. So what we're going to do is we are going to now grab some black. I'm just going to put this in and then we're going to let it dry. That's my next stage. I'm actually just going to put a little bit of black on my work surface here. Don't need a lot. I'm actually just going to use the same brush. I haven't washed it. We can wipe it off. This is why I have wipes here. Just wipe it off a little bit. It doesn't really matter about the fact, because black will cover pretty much anything. So it really doesn't matter. You'll get a bit of green, but that would look quite nice because yellow and black make green. So what we're going to do is go into that black and we're going to go down. This is our land here, and we're literally going to go down. See how straightforward this is? It's just fun, isn't it? And just go up to that line you made. It doesn't really matter if you go over it. I've gone over it. We're going to put some little bushes or trees or grass there, so it wouldn't matter. And I'm just going to go down to the bottom, all the way down the bottom. And I'm just going to do that edge actually while I'm here. And if you've got excess, if you're on a canvas. And then what we're going to do is, you see this little line, I'm just going to do a little line up. That's the tree trunk. We'll leave it at that for now. We can add the rest of it in later. Yeah. Ooh, there's a little bit there. Make it a bit bigger. I want my tree trunk quite big. Yeah, that's all we need to do. And we've set out our background. And that's ready now. And look how wonderful that is. It's really beautiful. We mixed our own colours. We've got that beautiful sky with the sunset here. We'll put the sun in later when it's dry. And we're going to then do the tree and the horse. It's a wonderful painting. I'm going to let this dry and we're going to come back when it's dry, let yours dry and come back. This is the beauty of YouTube. You can pause it and come back to it again and again and again. And yeah, we'll come back and we'll carry on with the horse, the sun and the tree. I'm now going to put a sun in. And I'm using an acrylic pen. You don't have to do that. You could do a pencil and then colour it in paint. You could use a felt tip and colour it in paint. I would suggest white because that way it will all stay the same colour. I'm just using a white acrylic pen. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can use something to draw round as well. We're now going to, so we've got our sun, and now what we're going to do is work on this. We did this earlier, didn't we? I just did that so that we knew where the tree was. We're now going to work on it. Now you can do this in different ways. You can use acrylic pen. So let's show you. You can just get, if you've got an acrylic pen, so you can just go with an acrylic pen, do your outline of that tree. It might be bumpy and lumpy. Now, obviously the trunk will be probably bigger down the bottom here. And then we can just literally bring it up. And you can do branches off. So let's do a knobbly bit there. And there's a branch comes off here. It's a bit thicker. And it comes off. And then we've got little branches, say here and here. That one goes off there. So that's one way of doing it with acrylic pen. You can also use a brush. I've got a filbert brush here, bit of water and a bit of black paint. And just go up, just literally. It doesn't have to be straight because trees are not totally straight. So let's say the main branch goes off here. Then we've got, say, another one that goes off there. There's going to be a lot of leaves on this, so it doesn't matter. So I don't want you to worry if your branches don't look right, you're not happy with them, because we're going to cover a lot of it up. Maybe there's another branch comes off here. Just think like a tree and say branch comes off here. Perhaps there's one behind that little one, so it comes round there. And that little one is in front of it. Make it a little bit bigger actually. There. And then we can do little branches off here. Now you can use the acrylic pen if you want to do fine details, or a smaller brush. Perhaps that goes out there. Trees go sort of behind the, you know, the branches go which way, whatever. There's no real rule to it. So just have fun with this. Don't worry too much about, oh, that branch looks weird, because branches go however. And then when you get to thinner ones, if you've got an acrylic pen, you can just do thinner ones, you know. So I quite like using acrylic pen for thin ones. and wiggle them. You know, they don't have to be straight. Things don't have to be straight. As I said, we're going to put a lot of things on this, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Put a lot of leaves, so you're not going to really see a lot of the branches, but it's just nice to have some there. If you want to do highlights, if you've got any of your orange paint left, you could put some little bit of the orange or the yellow on it just for highlights. This is your world, it's totally up to you. So there's our tree. I do recommend as a beginner, it's quite fun to have like acrylic pens because it just makes life a little bit easier, because if you're worried about drawing, then you've got that. I mean, I have tremors, so I find acrylic pen really helpful for me. What we're going to do now is we're going to keep this little filbert brush, or whatever brush you have, and I want you to do little flicks. This is just bits of grass, just little flicks, maybe a bit in front of the sun, on its edge or on its side, whichever you want. Can you see it's like coming up with little tufty bits? I'll show you in a minute. You've got little tufty bits there, see? And what we're going to do is we can also use a fan brush, if you have a fan brush. Now, if you're starting out, you don't have to invest in a fan brush. I got these off Amazon. There's come in different sizes, and they are useful, and we'll be doing more fan brush things. And literally what you do is you pull up or you pull down with the fan brush, literally on its edge, so literally on its side, and just pull it up. You can do little bushes, and just pull it up, and you get little, or pull it down, pull it up, and you'll get little bits, and it's nice, it's really good. It's really good for like trees, grass. What we're going to do over here, now I'm just making this up, so it's just my imagination. So let's say over here, let's say we've got like that's our grass. Can you see? Like bushes and grass, whatever. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab my little secret weapon. These sponges are really easy to get hold of in the UK. I get mine from Home Bargains for really cheap, and I break them up into little bits. They come in like a sort of that size, and then I break it up into little tiny bits and use it. Now all these little holes, the natural sponge, just means that it makes really good bushes, things like that. It's good for waves. It's good for so many things, and we do so many things with it. So what I'm going to do on this side here is I'm going to just do a tree, but a different type of tree. We're going to put some leaves on the other one anyway. I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. Literally tap. If you've painted with me before, you would have done this before. If you're new, then this is a good way to do a tree. And the good thing about doing things either side of a painting is it draws your eye into that centre, which is good because your eye is immediately drawn into the centre. And then what you can do, so that's our, say that's our tree. Let's get it darker down there. When I've got that on, I'm just going to actually just put some black and just go down on the ground here. Now the reason I'm doing that is that I've got black already on there, but we're going to have different levels and it's going to look like there's different things. You could also put a little bit of orange in there once this is dry, and it gives you like highlights. See how easy that is? And leave some of that, you can leave some of that yellow showing if you want. There's a little bit there. So there we go, that's another type of tree. So what I'm going to do is get some more black. Actually, I need a bit more black. And you can leave this painting pretty much here. We're going to do a silhouette of something. but I don't want you to worry about it. You don't have to put it in, and it's totally up to you. But I'm just showing you what you can do, what you might want to do, and how to do it in a simple way. I'm going to put some leaves. Now what I've got here is a filbert brush, or any little brush will work, and you can do it with a fan brush as well. It's just literally tap, 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 and you can do this with a sponge. I just want to show you different ways of doing it. All you're doing is just tapping. Don't put masses and masses of paint on it. And just tap, 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 tap. Might want to leave a few holes. You can just tap it gently and try and get a few holes in the leaves if you want. If you wanted that, then just make sure you haven't got too much paint on. So just tap, 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 and you can see it's a little bit a bit more holes. I'm not going to say holy, but it's a bit few more holes, and I've not got any more paint on it. And the less paint, you can see it sort of starts to, yeah. And I've got it up so you can see what I'm doing. Got my finger on it so it doesn't move. And just literally, that's all we're doing. And then alternatively, you can come in with that, use that one, come in with the sponge and just tap. Not too much on the sponge, but just tap it, tap it, tap it, and it's the same sort of thing. It's a bit quicker than doing it on the filbert, but it's totally up to you how you want to do it. You could do it both. Yeah. And see how good that looks. And there's our tree. What we're going to do now is I'm going to draw a horse. I don't want you to panic. If you don't want to draw a horse, that's fine. You can draw whatever you want. I just want to show you that it is achievable. Drawing isn't my strong point with my tremors, so I use acrylic pen, and I often have to rub it out many times because I just struggle with it, particularly when it's like a silhouette. Actually, I don't know why. When I'm doing an animal and it's the main focus, I'm not having so much problems. When I'm putting it into a painting, I find it more difficult. So let's start with our feet, shall we? So we've got a foot here. There's our leg. We can work on that. There's a little bit on that leg. And if you go wrong with the legs, the tip is to put grass over the top. That's what I do. Just a little tip. And now, how far the leg? So that's about the leg, I think. And then we're going to do, I'll work on the leg later. Then there's the chest. And we've got the head. It's a neck. And then we've got, that's our neck. Make your neck as long as you want it. And this could go wrong. And there's a little bit there. And then make, what I suggest also is looking at, on YouTube, just get a silhouette of a horse come up. You can also use my my painting to help you, but it's just, I just find that if I'm using a silhouette, if I'm using an image from Google, it just helps me, because I do find it difficult. I do. So I just want to say that is a tip. And we've got some little ears. So I'm just going into the tree here. That's fine. And there's our neck. We can change it and make your horse smaller so that if you go wrong, that's another tip. you can then make it bigger. That's my little tip for drawing. I'm not good at drawing. I never was. I could never do a stick figure, but I can do things now. And I've drawn quite a lot of things, and it probably be a surprise to a lot of people because they've seen my animals. And I'm fairly good. And actually animals is one of the things I love doing. Not not silhouettes, but sort of just normal, you know, painting animals. I love doing it, and birds I love. Right, so I'm just doing the tail a little bit there, and we can work out any changes we want to make. I might make that a little bit. That's it. And that's our chest. Make the neck a little bit thicker. That's what I mean. Just try and make your horse a bit smaller initially, just in case. That's the belly. Got the tail, and then we've got a leg here. So I'm looking at my image of my horse, and that leg comes down there, and a little bit there. I'm going to put the fan on. Oh, I'm hot. It's so hot. And another leg. They're sort of together a bit, and then the other leg sort of comes here, back foot with a little bit, but we can't really see it because I'm probably going to put some grass over the top of it. I just prefer doing that. And that leg comes out and it meets the belly. Oh, we've got quite a thin horse here. Let's make that belly a little bit bigger. There we go. And I might make that a little bit bigger. Can you see what I mean? If you just make it a little bit smaller initially, then you can alter it, alter it later. And when you colour it in, it looks better, I always find. But the times I have to redo things, and it's fine. We redo things. Don't even have to tell people we've redone it. I'm telling you because you're my friends and I'm trying to help everyone. And I also want to say that, you know, things are not easy for me. But it doesn't mean we can't do it. And that's the thing. So, yeah, my horse is okay. I think that's okay. I'm going to colour it in and then I'll show you. It really doesn't have to be perfect. I love horses as well. I'm going to be doing another one, a slightly different type of painting, but also with a horse silhouette. A bulgy bit there. It's very thin, that leg. And that one's quite thin. We need to make them all kind of similar. I'm just colouring my horse in and then I'll show you it. Or I'll turn it on so you can see it. Can you see? Yeah. So I'm going to colour it in. Left-handed, so I've got to do it this way. If you're watching this and you're left-handed, leave me a comment and tell me. I don't know if it's harder for us if we're left-handed. I don't really know. Maybe it shouldn't make any difference, should it? Do you like colouring in? This makes me feel like a kid. And a lot of my images, bigger images, if you've done images with me before or we've done drawings, I do dot to dot. Not for this one. So there's my horse. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, does it? There's my horse, yeah. And so that's the horse. Let's just sort of see if I want to change anything. Not really. I quite like it. I love black horses. We're not going to do a mane. I think we're going to leave it like that. Yeah, it's okay. And what about that ear? I might change that ear slightly. There. Yeah. Make that up a little bit. Bring it up. think it looks like a horse. Doesn't have to be perfect. And what we're going to do now, before we go back onto the sun and do the final touches, just going to tidy that bit up. Try not to make a mistake. This is what I do, is I'm tidying it up and then I make a mistake. No, that's fine. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do some birds. So what we're doing, I'll do it this way so you can see it, is we're going to do little V's. There'll be V's for you, so literally just little V's. These are birds, and you can do them smaller. You could also put a little line underneath. Put 3 in. Yeah. So little birds. So I'm now going to make the sun a bit brighter. And I've got, you can see a little bowl of water here. Now, you can use your finger for this. I'll show you actually with your finger, and then, so dip your finger in the water and then I'll show you with a brush. A bit of white and a tiny bit of yellow, whichever yellow you have. If you've still got some of the yellow we used for the sky, that's brilliant. And just literally gently go round on that, the circle that you drew. Now, if you go over the line, I wouldn't worry, because what happens is, look, with the sun, you usually have what's called, I think it's called an aura around it. Now you'll see I'm not putting masses of yellow. We don't want it to be too bright, and we don't want it to be the same colour as the sky, because then you won't see it. Oh, I've gone out. Now, if you go out of the lines, don't worry. You can always wipe it off with a wipe. Yeah, that's fine. Don't need a brush. That's all we want to do. So grab whatever brush you have, or you could do this with your finger, you can do it with a wipe, and just go in and get a little bit of water. If you've got a little pot like me. I've run out of fluid retarder, which I like using. And I'm going to go into this grey. Now, if we don't want that, actually what I'm going to do is start off with a little brush. Because what we want to do, and it doesn't matter if you've got yellow in it, I've got a bit of yellow on this, put it in. So what I want to do is create a little bit first. So I was going to go in with that big brush, but I changed my mind because we can always go over this with black. So what we're going to do is start off little. I might make that even smaller later by putting black over the top. Now I'm going to go into the bigger brush. What we want to do, to create distance, you have to start off small, and then as you get towards this end, you go bigger. And what that does is it just creates distance. And if you need to let it flow, add a bit of water. You can go darker with this, but there is something I might do to show you, but you literally, this stage is optional. So I'd say if you're a beginner, stick with this stage. So there's the path, and can you see I'm making it wider and narrow at the top? It creates a sense of distance, and that's what you want. So what I'm going to do is with a wipe, actually I'll use a clean wipe, that one's quite dirty. Let's use a clean wipe. I use baby wipes and they're just brilliant. You can get them quite easily, just use them, and they're brilliant for blending if you make a mistake. And I just want to make this a bit thinner. The other thing we can do is just go over the top with black, which I probably will do. So I'm just going to go in again and create that little line. And then what I'll do is I've got this little brush here, and I'm just going to go over the top of the bits I don't want until I know where it is I want it. I want it to go behind that tree. So what I'm going to do is I want to really make it narrow, maybe a little bit more so that you can see the grey. Just so that that goes behind the tree and then it gets bigger. Yeah, and then so you go wrong and you just literally, this is what beauty of this is, just acrylics are so great for that. You can just literally go over the top. There we go. The other thing is to remember that things in the distance, so like say this path for instance, it's going to be lighter further away. As you get nearer to it, because it's in the distance, it's going to be lighter. As you get nearer to it, it's going to be darker. So we can work on that. While we have that grey, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to use any brush. This is a filbert with a long handle, but this is a medium filbert. So what I'm going to do is just literally, so it shows up a little bit, and we're going to put some highlights on, is put a trunk in here. Now I might make it a little bit darker, just add a little bit more black, just so it stands up out a little bit. And what we can do is add some yellow, but not when it's wet, because if you do that when it's wet, it's going to turn into green, because black and yellow make green. So I'm just going to put in a trunk. I can always go on top of this with some more. We are going to go on top of this actually, but with some more black for the you can add more black, and that creates the foliage. So I've put in a trunk. Now it looks bizarre at the minute, but when we put things on top, it will work. Do I make that one a bit grey? I might do. And then I'm going to add a little bit to this one as well. Just a little bit, because we're going to add some highlights later in colour. I'm not going to add highlights to the horse, but you can. This just adds more interest. It's just an extra bit. You don't have to do these stages. You could just leave it at any stage you feel comfortable with. That's what I want you to do. If you feel happy just with the sky, then leave it at the sky. If you feel happy putting the horse in, then put the horse in. This is or do something different, something that you want to do. You could do a tree and put an owl on it. You know, just do the sky, and you don't have to do the path. It's really what you want to do. That's what I want to say to you. So that's it now, and that looks weird, but we're going to put some black on top of that in a minute. So we're going to get our sponge and do it. Put some on top. I just want a bit of grey there, and we'll just put a bit. And also there's a bit down here, there's like some bushes down here, so I'm going to cover that a bit, and we'll also put a little bit of different colours on that later, but not yet. So I'm just going in, and I'm going on top with the sponge, natural sponge, and just leave a little bit of the grey so you can see a tiny bit of it, so it looks like an indication of branches, but you don't have to leave very much. Yeah, and then it just sort of shows that there's something else behind. That's what I like about it. We're not going to do anything to the other tree. Oh, let's put that bit back there. As I said, we're going to add a different colour onto this, but I want this black to dry. Otherwise, it'd be quite nice if it was green. You can do that as well if you want. So, because black and yellow make green, we're going to add some yellow. Can you see there's little bits of grey in that tree here, and adding that path just gives you that interest. Where's that path going? The horse is looking, saying, do I go on the path? What am I doing? And do I have something to eat? Yeah, so that's what it is. And I'm just going to touch up a little bit on this side, and that's what's so lovely with a bit of learning a few techniques, a little bit of knowledge. You can create things that create a story. Now I write books, and I think that's the thing, is that I can create a story to go with this. sort of thinking, where's that horse going? What's it doing? I'm just adding a little bit more black. Don't cover up all that colour if you can help it. And actually I might put a bit over here as well, a little bit on the trunk, not too much. Yeah, that's it. Just whatever you feel. Maybe a little bit coming down here, sort of towards the horse and towards the sun. Yeah, but whatever feels right, you know. And you're thinking, oh, that horse is about to go and eat whatever's on that tree. Yeah. And by creating that look there and then the bit of the sky, you're bringing your eye into the centre. You don't have to go so mad. You can leave more sky. That's up to you. I like it like that. I think it works for me. But everyone's different and everyone likes different things. That's what I'm saying. So I want you just to do, I'm just doing what feels right for me, and I want you to do what feels right for you. So that's it for the moment, and we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to add the final touches, and that's exciting, and it's nearly finished. Now these next few bits are optional. I'm going to get a sponge and I'm just going to go into it. We're going to put some highlights, just a little bit, and this is a yellow. Actually, if you've got any of the sky colour, that's brilliant. If not, don't worry. Just use whatever you have. Just make sure that black's dry, otherwise you're going to have a green. But you might want a green. I'm just doing this to put a few highlights in those trees because there's a lot of sun here from this sunset. I wouldn't do it too low because it's quite dark down the bottom. And it just gives it a bit more. But these are optional, just with a bit of sponge. You see how fun that is? There. And we've given it, and if it turns a bit green, don't worry, that'll look quite nice. So I'm going to leave that colour there because we're going to use that again in a minute. Well, what I'm going to do next, now this is definitely optional. What I'm going to do is get a bit of black. Now it's on a palette knife. You can do this with a brush if you want. This is optional. I want you not up so much up the top, just a little bit up the top with just the tip of your brush. Wouldn't go right to the top. We can, but you don't have to. Now what we're going to do is I'm just doing it to get a bit of interest. So I'm literally rubbing it. And we're doing it to get a little bit. You want it right on that tip to get a little bit to show it's different. It's like, you know, there's different bits going on up here. It's not just one colour. What we're going to do is we use the wipe as well. So I'm just going to put a few up the top. We're going to use that wipe. You need that grey to be dry. Otherwise it's going to blend in. So what we do is we're just having a few black bits in the path and a few grey bits. Or you could mix another grey, a darker grey. That might look nice. Let's put a little bit of white. I'll just show you. Get a bit of white. You've got a bit of black, mix it in. And you've got a sort of middle grey. And then just put that on top as well. And it just breaks it up. It breaks the colours up. You see what I mean? It's like a pattern. It's not just one colour. I'll show you a neat little trick when we've finished the side bits. It's just like breaks it up. So it's not too light, it's not too dark. Put the light up the top, remember. Let's do it on the other side. And don't worry if you go over the edge, because we're going to work on that. This is optional. You don't have to, you can just leave it grey. We can keep the path out altogether. this is your creation. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go on the edges, but we can tidy up those edges later because I'm just now going to do something else. So that's our path. Just breaks it up. It's not just one flat colour. So what I'm going to do now is just one last step. Now this is optional. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the yellow. If you've got any sky colour, that's brilliant. If not, just use any yellow. And you don't have to do this. And I'm literally going to lift up. I'm going to try it. I was trying it with a small brush, but I'm actually going to try it with a bigger brush on its edge. This is a filbert. You can also do it with acrylic pen. Now I'm literally going to lift it up. We're just doing, and you could also do this with a fan brush, is we're just going to do a bit of grass. I'm going to do this with some black in a minute as well, but I want to just do it with this yellow colour. It's going to turn slightly green because black and yellow go green. You can go over that. We're going to put some black on the edge there. But literally get that yellow. Just a nice contrast because it's going to be shining from that sun. So I think it's a nice contrast. And do the other side. Just little strokes. You might need to get some water. I'm just doing little strokes. Don't worry too much about this because we're going to put some black in as well. So even little blobs. And if it doesn't work, then you don't have to worry. This is just an optional extra. And it'll have a green tinge, which I think is quite nice because, like the trees. But it's just showing that there's that reflection. So wipe it off. Now you can do this with an acrylic pen. I'll show you with that. It's an idea to let this dry, but I'll see how it goes. Yeah, so just literally, I'm just literally doing lines. So that's with an acrylic pen. And you see, you just want some lines because it's got some big bit of grass, it's overgrown. This is a good way to hide the feet as well, if you're not happy with your feet, your horse's feet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, I'm now using the edge of a filbert. And we're just going to go. And don't worry, you don't have to have too much of that yellow left. And we're going to go along that line as well. Just do little short bits. Just pull it down. You can do it on flat or on its edge. Just to get little bits. So you want to get, you know, I've said to you, you want dark to show light. So that's, we want to show that path off. And then flick up. And then when we get to the nearest to the horse's feet, just do little, I'd say on its edge, just do little strokes. Doesn't matter. We hide those feet. You can use acrylic pen. You can also do this with a fan brush. So you're going near the horse's feet. Get some black paint if you've got a fan brush and just flick it up. Flick. And you get a few, and hide the feet if you want to. Don't have to. Your horse's feet might be amazing. It's standing in longer grass. And then, as I said, you can always put some more colour in. And what I might do, if you let this dry, you could also put in, put a little bit of grass over that sun, because don't forget it's setting, just a little bit. And what you could do if you let this dry as well is that you could put some yellow in with acrylic pen, which I might do, but I'll probably let it dry a little bit. We'll try it without drying it. And then it's gone over my grey, so I'm just going to wipe that off a bit. I want that grey to show at the top. That's it. So what I needed to do, oh, I've got a bit there, never mind, we'll wipe that off. it's gone into the sun. Like I said, if it's wet, it will wipe off. Never worry, never panic. If not, make it something else. It's a little bush or something. There's a little bush there. There's a little bush this side as well. Into that sun. And then it's sort of, you don't know where that path's going. It's leading off, and then you make your little stories, like I said earlier. Make those little stories. Use your white if you need to, and come back with that brush. Go along that edge. Oh, that's really narrow now. I like it. Because you just don't know where it's going. And then come along and let's do it with the filbert again. We're just going to pull it up. Put that black in. Leave a bit of the yellow so that, or the greeny yellow, so that there's a bit of interest. And we're going to add maybe on top. Then I'm going to go back to the, I'm going to go back to my fan brush. Just add a little bit of interest around this path. Isn't that fun? And what we could do is we can add, if we've got a yellow acrylic pen and it's working, I'm not sure mine's going to be working. Yeah, not too bad. And then we can just put in, if it works, put in some yellow. Put a little bit of yellow in. Just put in a bit of grass with that yellow pen. It's better if you let it dry. Been using mine quite a lot as well. I wouldn't go right to the edge. You could put a little bit at the edge, just a little bit, showing that there's a bit of sunlight playing. The last thing, I'm just going to go this side and add a bit of yellow. Let them overlap. Can do this with paint as well. While I've got these acrylic pens, although they're getting quite dirty, so you need to replace them sometimes. I've got a lot. But I use certain colours, so I do have to replace it. And you'll see that just gives us a little bit of interest. And we don't need to do it right to the edge, but you can if you want. Overlapping the path. Yeah, I like that. I'm happy with that. So there is my painting. We've got a lovely sunset with a setting sun. We've got a path. It's not a road, maybe it's a country road. We've got two trees with highlights in. We've got our horse and we've got some V-birds. If you need any help with any of this, as I said, do it at your own pace. So I've broken it down. You could just do the background. You don't have to put the horse in. You could just put the trees in the background and some birds and the sun. I've just added a few extras to give you some ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like it, subscribe, tell your friends, come and join my group, Amanda's Beginners Art Community. And for the members of my group, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know. This one was from my imagination. There is no reference photo. So yes, come and join us in the group and join me next time. Bye for now.